Facebook lied to you. Radio lied to you. Radio fuck you.
Take this time to reflect on the things that we heard from surviving R. Kelly and the disturbing depictions that these girls had in their stories. According to them, there were girls doing all these sexual acts in the studio and all kind of stuff going on. There were pots allegedly for these girls to urinate in. It was a lot of disturbing depictions. Meanwhile, people that have worked with R. Kelly have quite the opposite interactions and stories about his studio life. I wanted you to see what they said they discovered in his studio, considering they also leave out the fact that other people were living inside this studio. You can also notice that these images show that there were cameras available in these studios. So that should just leave that in your mind, so that all these stories these people have to say, they should be able to produce security footage to align with these stories. Because when you look on the internet, everything you find about R. Kelly and his work ethic would contrast to what you've heard.
At breakfast. No, you go in at dinner. Really, you go in at 2, 3 in the morning. So that's, I don't know what that is, a snack. You go in at that time, but you'll go breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast. But this dude, like, that's how much of a hostage, to the point where you're like, I stink. Like, I want to go home and wash up. Like, I want to brush my teeth. You know, he's this guy. Like, one time I spent the night in his house waiting for a song. It was like a whole night, and I woke up and it was a whole nother day. That was crazy. One time, like, we're in the studio and you can't fall asleep, so he he put water on all of Kendall's joints. Like, he put water on all the joints, and so when he woke up, it looked like he pissed on himself, looked like his knees were leaking, like it was just crazy. And Donnie be on the guitar like all night, so he'll put like stuff in his nose. Like, it's just bad. R. Kelly is a prankster in the studio, so if you're ever in the studio with him, be sure not to go to sleep or come there with people that he does not know, because that is not cool either. I love me some R. Kelly. But the most out of control R. Kelly story that I can think of in the very beginning was when he called me in to do a duet record with him. At the time, I was going to Illinois State University and I was married to my first husband, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was at Illinois State is an hour, it was like an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours from Chicago. Wayne Williams calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning and says, "Where are you? What's going on? Robert wants you to come to the studio." I'm like, I'm in Illinois State University, which is 2 hours away, and I'm in the bed. But because I'm trying to get on in the industry, and it's, you know, I'm still trying to, you know, I'm like, this is R. Kelly. The way that I view him is the king of R&B. I still do, will always, till the end of time. So I'm never going to be like, oh no, tell him I'm going to bed. I ain't got time for his record. So I was like, okay, well, let me try to get up, get myself together. So me and my husband drove 2 hours in the cold from my college, Illinois State, to come into the studio to work on this record that he was like, I need Selena in the studio for. I remember that when I got there, he was kind of sitting on the floor going back. You know, he was kind of sad because Drea, his wife, was in the hospital delivering one of their children. I think it was little Robert Jr. She was delivering one of the kids, but she was having some complications, so they were like on the phone, you know, back and forth. But when I walked in with my husband, it took him aback. For some reason, he does not like new people, and he doesn't like men. So when I came in with my husband, I think that was like a red flag, because I was still trying to get to know him, kind of, sort of. So to him, that was like, who she got just bringing this dude up in the studio? In his mind, like, you can't just be bringing dudes in the studio, you know what I'm saying, bringing people. But someone did not inform him that, oh, she's driving 2 hours from Illinois State University and this is her husband. You know, I can't drive 2 hours in the middle of the night by myself, just come in here and do a song. That's dumb. Now, at this age, I would have said, boy, bye, I'll see you tomorrow. Or, no, I'm cool, because I would have just went to sleep. At this stage in my life, way too tired and would have crashed. But in my early 20s, like 22, 23, yeah, let's get in the car, let's go. We're all excited, we get there. And then I go in the room and I start recording with Donnie. Donnie was his engineer at the time. And Donnie's trying to tell me how to sing one thing. And I'm like, well, what about this way? And I'm tussling with him. So Donnie, I guess, goes and tells on me. And so he totally scrapped me from the song. Like, just was like, all right, never mind. So I drove 2 hours in the middle of the night to just get totally scrapped off of a song. Still to this day, I feel some type of way about that because I thought that was crazy and never apologized for that. That was crazy. Still to this day, I thought that was out of control. I had to drive 2 hours from school to go into the studio at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, and then try the song for 2 seconds, didn't even really give me no chance. Got mad because I had my husband with me, and then was like, never man. Kicked me off the song.
Can we see how the artists that fell in line with the mute R. Kelly agenda use their memories and their tainted perspectives to justify why they could believe the allegations they've heard, though they're adamant they never saw anything? Now, you can easily pull up so many clips of R. Kelly in his studio that would show you that if what these people are saying are true about their experiences in the studio, it would lead you to believe, is it possible all this stuff went down when R. Kelly wasn't around? Considering you can see how R. Kelly works. Now I'm going to show you just a few clips, and I'll leave you with the task of just researching R. Kelly in the studio, and you'll see exactly how R. Kelly's studio life consisted.
Then we'll do our magic in the studio and pick who did what best.
So we'll get them two-faced and map out the map.
Respect.
Yes, sir.
Respect.
Sounds good, baby.
Rest it well, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We
No
about
shaky.
we about to make history.
See,
I promise you, we're about to make history,
see
baby.
Baba and the living legend.
Absolutely, we're about to make
See,
history.
I'm going to try to add my own, and at least add the African spirit. So lift your voice and give it everything. Now let your heart sing.
Instead of let your heart sing, don't do that. Do the let your heart sing.
Now let your heart sing.
That's it. Yep.
So lift your voice and give it everything. Now let your heart sing.
One more time, here we go.
Just belt it out, baby. Let's get it.
So lift your voice and give it everything. Now let your heart sing.
Then you got spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya. Spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya.
Spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya.
Exactly. And make sure you stay sarcastic with that. Spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya.
Spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya.
Fly ya.
Fly ya.
Right, like you said higher. Say fly ya.
Spread your wings, I believe you can fly ya.
Let's go, people, it's time to go higher. Let's go, people, it's time to go higher.
Let's go, people, it's time to. Let's go, people, it's time to go higher.
Let's go, people, it's time to go higher.
Let's go, people, it's time to go higher.
See, when you that's a trick when you do it like that. You get through your session like, you know what I'm saying? You just drill it until you feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Drill it until you feel it. Okay. Boom.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Kels. I'm in the studio. It's like, what time is it, man? It's like 10 o'clock, it's 5 minutes to 10. We in here jamming, Joe. Like, we just woke up, but I've been up for like 2 days straight. I'm in here working on this remix, Number One Sex. You know how I do it. Do it to it all the way through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in here working on Number One Sex. T-Pain did something on it, so you know I had to get on it. You know, I'm the host, baby. I got to do the most. T-Pain, what up, baby? You know what I'm saying? It's your boy on Twitter.
I felt special. I actually thought that I was his girlfriend. You know, I was living up there at that point. We were together all the time. You know, I had no reason to question that we weren't. Life in the studio was kind of boring for the most part. You really couldn't have much interaction other than, well, I couldn't have much interaction with anyone other than Robert. At that time, I didn't know what a runner was. But later on, I realized it was just, you know, the people that work at the studio, and they pretty much like run errands. My mom would call the studio. The runners would actually let Robert know that I had a phone call, and then he would let them know to transfer their call to me. One time, one of his friends came to the studio, and he's speaking to everyone, and just a normal reaction, you speak back. Rob would get upset and say, you're not supposed to speak to them. You don't speak to anybody. You just look straight forward. If they speak to you, you don't say anything. Pretty early on, he kind of introduced you to everything that he was into. It was instructed to call him daddy during sex, but it went from that to pretty much all the time he'd be daddy. The first time Robert had me do sexual acts with him and another female, he actually told me it was going to be his first time and he wanted to do it with me. He would say things like, well, you know, if you love me, you won't try to change me. You know, if you love me, you'll accept me how I am. You know, if you love me, you'll do these things for me. So those would be the little pep talks he would give me. Robert would film our sex acts sometimes. He would never ask me if it was okay to be filmed, but he never hit the camera or anything like that. Once we did the threesome, it became more frequent. Then he started introducing me to other young women.
Don't you find it strange? You got completely different stories and different versions of events all wrapped up in the same docuseries. To me, it just seemed like they spaced it out the way they did because they know people have short attention spans and are only going to be fueled by emotions and what they're seeing. So they're not putting together the fact that 1 minute they're telling you that this guy has these girls in the studio bent over while he's creating his work, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they couldn't hang around anymore. And then you have other people such as Van Allen talking about how boring the studio life was and how things were completely different compared to if you just look up the way he worked in the studio, as I mentioned previously. What's interesting about this whole storyline is the fact that people keep overlooking the obvious. Like I've mentioned before, people conveniently forgot this stage where baby groupies is what they call these 16, 17-year-old girls who would follow behind superstars. It seems like people have amnesia, but maybe you should just take some time and look at the groupie lifestyles and the things that have progressed from, let's say, the 60s, 70s up until now. For some strange reason, they're trying to revert how these 16, 17-year-olds' mind operate as though now they're just so innocent and they can't specifically lie about their age and position themselves where they want to be. What they gave you and what the reality seems to be is completely different. And it's all on you to decide what you really believe. But why is it they put so much emphasis in criminalizing R. Kelly? Meanwhile, other people have put the same things they have described on public display. Stay tuned, because my next video, I want to compare exactly what's going on now with T.I., Tasha K, Wendy Williams. I want to show you all my perspective and how I see these women. Once upon a time, women were easily used by other people for certain things. But now women seem to have brightened up and realized they can take power and take control. And it's all relying upon this whole victim role nowadays. Make sure you like this video, subscribe so you get the notification, make sure the bell is on, and you have a good day.